Dominion, Asgard. At this moment, the sky seemed to be torn apart. All the named Aesir gods have now gathered outside Asgard. Hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo, countless Asgard warriors lined up neatly in front of Asgard. The god who represents the sun, the god who symbolizes speed, and the young Thor also appeared on the scene. Not so long ago, something seemed to tear a rift in the sky of Asgard. A burst of ancient and dark breath was released from this crack towards the surroundings. What on earth is that? Where does this extreme dark energy, which far exceeds that of the dark elves, come from? Odin, the god king of Asgard. At the moment, it was only a few hundred years since he ousted his brother, the god of fear, Cool. Odin at the moment stares into the sky in golden battle armor, holding a spear of eternity in his hand. This darkness that conveys the entire 9 realms is trying to tear apart the walls of this world. Your Majesty, here we come. On the periphery of Asgard, Heimdall's all-seeing eyes could not catch the coming of this terrifying aura. Thor, open the barrier of Asgard, warriors of Asgard, prepare to attack with me. Following this order, a beautiful woman activated the defense in her hand. A transparent cover covers the whole of Asgard. At the same time, Asgard's guard army, Valkyrie army, and Soul Castle army are all ready. Just wait for Odin's order, and you can attack directly. Boom. The sky exploded. A pitch-black shadow suddenly fell down from the cracked barrier towards the bottom. No one can see clearly. In this darkness, a man with his eyes closed fell from the sky. The huge energy released from the body may destroy the entire Asgard at any time. This power is so powerful that even if Odin encounters it, he can barely deal with it. Visitors from afar, please stop your steps immediately. Odin stared solemnly into the distance, the spear of eternity in his hand was ready. However, this light cluster wrapped in mysterious dark energy did not stop directly. But Odin's voice awakened a certain existence in this light group. What is this place? The young man slowly opened his eyes, and a huge amount of wound on his chest appeared immediately. Well, on the wound, a wave of sacred energy immediately surprised the man. The already pale face looked even paler now. Your Majesty, this beam of light has no intention of stopping, what should we do? Odin shook his head, half of the Asgard energy covered his body, and immediately raised the energy in his body to level Godfather. I've fought all the gods, a person of unknown origin, let me end your fate. After finishing speaking, the eternal spear in his hand shot towards the sky like a shooting star. But at this moment, Gungnir, who is known as 100 shots, turned around in midair and returned to Odin's hands again. Everyone couldn't believe that this #1 artifact in the 9 realms would miss it. Odin also sat on the 8-legged horse in wonder, with a half-blind eye shining with unbelievable vision. What happened? That incomparably pitch-black light is clearly under his control. But why couldn't the eternal gun hit him? Gungnir. At this moment, a cold voice appeared in Odin's mind. So, this is Asgard. Immediately, Odin turned around on the 8-legged Pegasus. None of the Asgard warriors noticed that a handsome man in a black robe descended slowly into the sky of Asgard. Wrong. Wrong. The man's eyes were light blue, but without any vitality, he looked similar to Deadman. The light blue eyes are like a piece of natural gemstone, appearing extraordinarily pure. But what surprised Odin the most was the man's chest. A scepter made of golden light was inserted into it fiercely, turning the man into a string. This world doesn't seem right. Under Odin's gaze, the man pulled out the scepter from his chest. But the wound on his chest did not show any signs of disappearing. Outsiders, this is the center of the 9 realms. I am the god King Odin, leave my territory quickly. Well, I know your name. But what's the use of that? Odin Paulson, you blocked my way, because of your crimes, you will be suppressed for 1,000 years. This voice spread throughout Asgard. After finishing speaking, an extreme dark light turned into a spell. On this rune, engraved words that no one has seen in this world. Then the rune fell down. Boom! In the sky, Odin's 8-legged Pegasus directly fell down. The god king of Asgard, Father Odin also fell from the sky and fell in front of his own hall. Father, His Majesty. A generation of god King Odin was actually sealed at the critical moment of the battle with humans. Ah! But when the gods turned their eyes from Odin's body to the sky, the black mist dispersed, and a shadow of nothingness gradually appeared in front of the gods. You. Who the hell? Son of Odin, young Thor stares up at the sky in rage. Hades. The indifferent voice reappeared. I am Hades, Hades. As soon as the voice fell, the whole figure exploded in the air. Odin, who is as strong as the Heavenly Father, did not walk out of around in the hands of Hades. It was directly swung down from the sky by others, and a seal was issued. It has been suppressed for thousands of years, and it is a great shame to say it out. 1,000 years is nothing to the gods of Asgard. But there are people in Asgard coveting the throne, and there are powerful enemies outside. This millennium time, I am afraid it will be a little difficult. What will happen after Asgard, Hades doesn't know. Because the real body was damaged, he had to sleep for a while. And his soul, like before every holy war, will come to this world again. Midgard, in an English town. At the moment, Baron Kent waited anxiously outside the door. The child he had been waiting for 10 months was finally coming. Wow, wow, wow. It's born, it's born. The baby is finally born. The child's father is naturally happy. But at this moment, a terrifying atmosphere suddenly enveloped the entire town. The town, which was already cold in winter, became even colder the moment this baby arrived. In the sky, endless heavy snow fell. In an instant, the entire town was blocked. The moment this baby came into the world, the entire Midgard, that is, the earth, felt a suffocating pressure. This child. The child's father is a down-and-out baron in the Kingdom of England. He was a great nobleman in England in his early years. Unfortunately, since his grandfather failed in business, they moved from the capital of London to this place. A child's eyes are so beautiful. But why do I always feel that the child's eyes seem to be staring at us? The eyes are so beautiful, why don't you call him Aaron? The Kent family can be considered a big family, continuing to the Windsor family. Although down and out, it can still support the burden of the whole family. The family is quite well known in this small town, but unfortunately with the birth of the Baron of Kent's child, everything began to change. Endless severe cold began to cover the whole town. Regardless of spring, summer, autumn and winter, the town was covered by heavy snow all year round. And, with the arrival of the Kent family's children, this small town has gradually lost its original vitality. In 1998 the 10-year-old Baron of Kent walked in this ancient town. Heavy snow covered the entire town, and the little Baron never left the town for 10 years. No one has ever seen that the little Baron's eyes were filled with loneliness and desolation. After seeing the figure of the little Baron, the people in the whole town closed their gates one after another. No matter how well behaved the little Baron was, everyone regarded him as a devil. Born as a child, his mother died when he was 1 year old. His father, Baron Kent, never remarried in his life, but when little Kent was 8 years old, a fire at home burned his father to death. The center of the fire was little Kent, but the strange thing is that the boy did not die in the fire. Everyone rejects him, but they dare not approach him. This boy is the magic star, the devil, the death god has come. Rumor has it that he killed his own mother. The father said he was a demon, so he burned his father to death. Especially during these 10 years, a small town with nearly 1,000 people has less than 100 people left. All those who died seem to have something to do with the boy. Harry Lure. God bless. Under the heavy snow, the boy stood at the exit of the town and stared at the whole town quietly. In his hand, there is a painting that was completed not long ago. At the moment, the boy's golden hair completely turned black. An extremely terrifying aura was released from the boy's body. The small town has become even colder. Pluto Hades, I'm back. After 10 years, little Aaron finally woke up, looked at the painting in his hand, and laughed. He is not Aaron, the young son of the Kent family, but Hades, the king of the underworld. The god of death in charge of the entire universe, the lord of the underworld. That little girl of Athena didn't talk about martial arts, and in a jihad over 200 years after the agreement, this little girl rushed into her pure land with a bunch of glittering gold. It could have been a Jedi counterattack. But that day, the Saint Seiya of Sagittarius attacked him like in ancient times. The little girl Athena stabbed her body with her scepter at this moment. Then it led to the collapse of the entire pure land of ultimate bliss. Who would have thought that the fragments of Honkai would actually break the barrier between the universes? Without knowing it, pulled his broken body into this world. It turned out to be such a world. Hades, the king of the underworld, is known as omniscient and omnipotent. Few things in the entire universe can escape from his eyes. But this is not his world. Since he is an outsider, he should have the consciousness of an outsider. Forget it. The god of Olympus in this world is gone. What af** King Jihad. As he spoke, Aaron threw the painting in his hand behind him. Without even looking at the small town behind him, he turned his head and walked out in the opposite direction covered by the heavy snow. The painting gradually fell to the ground. In the painting, the chubby little angel acts as an envoy to guide the whole town to the paradise of Elysium. An English town that has existed for 100 years is gradually covered with snow. There will be an indefinite period. America, New York, Big Apple. This is a newly opened gallery, and the owner of the gallery is an aristocrat from the other side of the ocean. But this gallery is rarely cared for. The main reason is that the location of this gallery is not a good place. Located in the Big Apple, a gallery in the famous Hell's Kitchen in Manhattan. God knows what kind of background this boss has behind him. However, today is the weekend, so it is rare that this gallery plans to open. A young guy brought his little girlfriend and came here from the Queens neighborhood next door. Parker, your friend is really weird. The moment the girl stepped into this gallery, she felt a biting chill hit her. What's so strange about Aaron? He is an English nobleman, it would be nice to be friends. The young man's doubts about his girlfriend are not surprising. After all, my friend's personality is so weird. When I came to see him for the first time, I thought he was a devout Catholic. Who knew that this kid was not just a painter? Some of the paintings in his hand were all the appearance of God when he was tortured. I even occasionally draw a little comics, but I also like to read them. Little girl, her name is Gwen. Gwen looked at her boyfriend helplessly, if she didn't know that his orientation was normal. I thought he had an affair with this boss named Aaron. New York is so big. Why did he choose such a place as the location of the gallery? Doesn't he know that the underground forces here are very powerful? The young lad was none other than Peter Parker. But now Parker has not been bitten by a spider, and he is not yet a friendly neighbor in New York City. Weird? Talking about his girlfriend's doubts, Parker walked into the gallery. It is said to be a gallery, but basically all the works hung there are Aaron's own works. Especially in a place on the left side of this gallery, there are 6 or 7 portraits of the end of God. For devout believers in God, just a few paintings are enough to blow up the entire gallery. This Aaron is also bold, and he has no fear at all. Hi Aaron. Aaron, that is Hades, our awakened Pluto, showed an unknown smile after seeing Parker. Parker. It was kind of a greeting, and Parker wasn't surprised at all. What kind of paintings did you show today? You are always targeting that old man of God, so why don't their believers tear down your gallery? Aaron waved his hands and smiled, and said lightly, it's okay, they won't come over. Today's wind seems a bit noisy. Gwen is not very interested in the paintings in this gallery, but Parker is a little interested in these curious works. So Parker, accompanied by Aaron, walked towards the other paintings. Surprisingly, many people came to this gallery during the weekend. Several of these paintings were painted very recently. Parker, haven't seen it. Just at the moment, Parker stopped in front of a frame. On the screen, a handsome young guy was actually bitten by a biochemical spider. This scene looks so scary. But this is not the scariest thing. Under this, there is actually Aaron's signature. After seeing the signature, Parker seemed to see the handsome guy who was bitten by a spider in the painting, and he smiled strangely at himself. Ha! All of a sudden, Parker took several steps back in fright. What's wrong? Aaron walked up and found that Parker stopped right in front of the painting, his eyes filled with fear of the painting. Scared? Aaron smiled softly. No, I didn't. Parker hastily vetoed it. But there is always a strange feeling in my heart. Aaron, I always feel that this young man who was bitten by a spider is me. This feeling is very obvious. I don't think it's false at all, as if I saw myself turned into a spider today with my own eyes. This painting, I call him the birth of Spider-Man. Spider-Man? Parker shook his head hastily. What he said didn't look like a Spider-Man at all, but rather like a prank by his old friend. Don't say it. The more you look at it, the more you feel it. The handsome young man in this picture is actually wearing the same uniform as his own. Even the bed and the lamp beside the bed are exactly the same as the furnishings in my own room. Aaron, you don't talk about martial arts. You spy on my private life. Parker just wanted to turn around to mock Aaron, but Aaron's shadow disappeared from his eyes. At the same time, in this seemingly quiet gallery, there were even several customers whom I didn't know at the same time. For example, a young and beautiful red-haired woman, and a gorgeously dressed old lady. Is this the one show that has indeed had a different reputation all over Manhattan? The red-haired woman is wearing a bodysuit that wraps her graceful body, and she seems to be talking to someone with her earphones. Natasha Romanoff agent, pay attention to the surroundings. The person opposite you at 2 o'clock is the owner of this gallery. Got it. I'll find a way to get closer to this person. Be careful. This person has a little connection with the British nobleman named Kent Aaron mentioned in our files 10 years ago. But we're not sure. After finishing speaking, the red-haired woman turned off her earphones, and quietly leaned over with a tentative mood. In the Manhattan area of the Big Apple, this place is called Hell's Kitchen. In this place, whether it is day or night, order belongs to the dark underground forces. There are all kinds of tyranny and struggle here, symbolizing a certain level of freedom and democracy in this country. Although Aaron doesn't like this place very much, it's a good place to settle down after finally settling down. This painting, did you draw it? At this moment, a cold voice appeared in Aaron's ear. Aaron, who was walking around the exhibition hall in the East District, stopped, turned around, and saw an old lady in her 50s standing behind him with a few security guards. Aaron put on a professional smirk and nodded. Ma'am, what happened to the painting? How about selling it to me? I'll give you $5. This person obviously does not seem to be a fake, but Aaron's painting was unexpectedly offered at a low price of $5. Didn't it hit him in the face, or what? Aaron smiled. He knew who the old woman in front of him was. But he didn't expect that the old woman's attitude made him a little uncomfortable. $5. Aaron chanted these words, calmly staring at the old woman in front of her and the security guards beside her. That is to say, you want to forcibly take this painting away from me? It doesn't mean that. The old woman folded her hands on her chest, looked at Aaron's pale face in front of her, and smiled. This painting should not belong to you, so give it to us. We can guarantee that you will live well in this Hell's Kitchen. Even if it is Jin Bing, that fat pig, there is no way to deal with you. Aaron frowned. Is this the level of this handicap woman? This painting is just an ordinary painting to Aaron. But this painting is something extraordinary to these people in front of them. You guys are not qualified. After finishing speaking, he actually lifted the woman and the bodyguards behind her up with his hands. Then it was thrown outside all of a sudden. Go and tell your master that if you want to take this painting from me, just think about how many lives you need to pay to get it. The cold voice was like the magic voice of hypnotic ability. After hearing these people, they ran away without saying a word. Tisk tisk. Boss Aaron is really domineering. At this moment, a charming voice appeared in the ear. Aaron looked back and saw that it was the red-haired woman in tights, standing not far away and staring at him in a strange way. This woman exudes a nasty aura all over her body. Aaron frowned, stared at this person and said a word, "Get lost." After the voice fell, Aaron turned his head and left the place. In the earphones. Natasha Romanoff, be careful not to anger this person. His status is very unusual. I suggest you divert your attention to the underground. Clear. As expected of a professional agent, after seeing that her tried and true beauty trick had no effect on the man in front of her. Immediately, Plan B was launched, and this kind of kitsch style cannot be used with this person. Then, as long as you grasp this person's handle, you can naturally use it for yourself. At night, everything in the gallery became extraordinarily quiet. Still the same, tonight seemed destined to be a sleepless night. Aaron sat quietly in the studio, the pen in his hand didn't seem to be stained with red or black paint. After sniffing it carefully, there was still a smell of blood. Coming. There was a smile on the corner of Aaron's mouth, but he still remained silent, waiting for those unknown people to walk into his own hell. Be careful, the owner of this gallery is extraordinary, don't be discovered. Don't worry, we've already done a lot of tasks, and we don't pay attention to a little boy. Be careful, there is nothing wrong with it anyway, let's go. Use the most sophisticated instruments to cut open the glass of the gallery, trying not to make any sound. However, these thieves did not know. Their every move is completely under the attention of the two of them at this moment. Just 2 buildings away from the gallery, Natasha Romanoff, a high-level SHIELD agent, is watching everything in front of her with a telescope and an infrared scanner. In the house, Aaron was also quietly waiting for the arrival of these people. Where is the painting? The boss is right, right? Why doesn't this place look like a gallery? This is a group of more than 10 ninjas. The leader who entered the gallery was a ninja in red. Outside the gallery, on the roof, and on both sides of the street, there are 2 people dressed as ninjas hiding in the darkness. Keep your voice down, don't wake up the people here. The red-clothed ninja headed by him was quite careful, making sure that no one was in the room before entering. On the thermal imaging, no human figure can be seen. But they didn't know that all their actions had long been under the watchful eye of Aaron. Captain. Found it. At this moment, a voice of surprise came over. It turned out that it was one of them who found the painting about the hiding place of the keel, which was placed in the east side of the gallery. Without exception, this painting was also drawn by Aaron. The purpose is also very simple, it was originally to attract the underground forces in this place to take action. It's just that they didn't expect their hands and feet to be so fast. It's shameless to give face, the boss won't sell it for money, and even threatened us. Oh? Shame on you? At this moment, a cold voice suddenly appeared. The ninja in red who took the lead was startled, but there was no aura of strangers around. Who? Come out. Are you sure you want me to come out? The icy voice is as piercing as ice hell. The person who stole the painting was shocked for a moment, and suddenly felt a cold hand appearing on his shoulder from behind. Say what you say. The ninja immediately pulled out the sword in his hand, and slashed behind him with a lightning speed. Clang clang. The blade cut empty. Don't put any cold hands behind you, nothing has ever existed at all. In an instant, the ninja's back seemed to have exploded, and a chill rushed up from the soles of his feet. What are you doing? Right in front of him, one of his companions had his right hand chopped off with the sword in his hand. The bloody arm was still lying quietly in front of his eyes, dripping blood seeped down. Tick-tock. In an instant, cold sweat broke out from the ninja's forehead. Team. Captain. Don't you see someone appearing behind me? Stop talking nonsense. You saw a ghost. The ninja in red couldn't help cursing and said, "Where did he come from? There is no one in this ghost place." But. The more you say that, the more frightening it is. But what a fart. What about the painting? Where did the painting in your hand go? The ninja in red became angry. Why is this year's team so difficult to lead? But at the moment, another team member's screams were heard again. Ah. It's the third child. Captain, isn't the third child guarding the door? What's going on? Go and see. Among these ninjas, the ninja in red was the one with the highest level and the best ninjutsu. Naturally, he didn't believe in ghosts and ghosts. Definitely, he also believed that his Amaterasu would bless him. However, I don't know why. In this dark gallery, people like myself, who have been licking blood on the tip of a knife all year round, will feel a great sense of pressure and oppression. Captain. Third child is gone. Following the words of his team members, he fell. There was an instant chill on the red ninja's back. This gallery is just too quirky. And at this moment, all the paintings in the gallery seem to have turned into a shadow. These shadows seem to come alive, standing on the wall, quietly staring at the intruders in the entire gallery. Team leader, hurry up and find the mission target for me. Then leave this ghost place immediately. What kind of gallery is this? Everything around is too weird. As the most powerful Koga Ryu in the ninja world, the ninja in red has never seen such a weird place. Did you find it? At this moment, that familiar voice appeared in his ears. The man immediately pulled out the cherry blossom sword in his hand. This sword, which symbolizes honor and hope, has accompanied him in countless years of wars. Slash. The dazzling sword light flew towards the voice along with the cherry blossom-like figure. When the sword light arrived, the blade seemed to have touched some kind of irreversible barrier. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't let my Taidao enter half a point. At this moment, he finally saw the enemy. On his pale face, there was a hint of a smile in a pair of light blue eyes. This person was wearing a black robe, like a priest in a church. Majestic and solemn, there is no sense of disobedience when appearing on this person. Who are you? The young Aaron with black hair stood indifferently in front of the ninja, staring at this ignorant existence. At this critical moment, the red-clothed ninja saw a ball of purple light appear in the center of the man's palm in front of him. The purple ball of light shone on the man's face, making him look extraordinarily cold. The moment this ball of light appeared, a kind of fear and regret from the bottom of my heart suddenly covered it. Welcome to my hell. Aaron said the most horrific things in the gentlest words. You are not the first, and you are not the first to enter hell. No. Not human. You are not human. How could humans have such power? The ninja in red immediately guessed the identity of the man in front of him. Dead. It's a pity that he fell down without saying a word. Death is not scary. The frightening thing is that I know that I am about to die, but I find that I can only watch and cannot make any choices. Oh, yes. At the moment, Aaron's hand suddenly took out a gray-white thing. I think this is what your boss wants to find. Let you go back and tell them that the keel is in my hands. After finishing speaking, the invisible hand lowered the ninja's body from the air. At first, I thought about continuing to fight, but after thinking about it carefully, the red-clothed ninja still chose to be wise and safe. Labor and capital will never come to this ghost place again. Even giving more USD is useless. Well, let's go. Aaron thinks he is not a good person, but he is not a bad person either. This hand association is not a good thing. All the dirty methods behind the scenes have been exhausted, and some transactions that are difficult to see on the bright side, this hand association is almost completely included in it. But, when this ninja just left from the window, suddenly felt a sharp pain in the chest, and then the moment he stepped out of the door, the whole person fell down like this. There is no sign, no hope of life. In the distance, Natasha Romanoff looked at this sight in surprise. She didn't know what happened in the house, but she was no stranger to this ninja in red. Director, the red-clothed ninja of the hand is dead. SHIELD has long been eyeing this illegal organization, but they have never found out where the 5 fingers of the hand are. This red-clothed ninja is the highest-ranking existence among the assassination members of the Hand Association. The fighting ability in his hands is not weaker than Natasha Romanoff at all. Even in some respects, the current Natasha Romanoff may not be as good as the red ninja in front of her. But such a master died under the gaze of Natasha Romanoff. What happened? The roar of Nick Fury, the current director of S.H.I.E.L.D., came from the headset. I don't know. Members of the Hand Association went to this gallery to steal a painting tonight, but after entering, all the ninjas except this red-clothed one never came out. In S.H.I.E.L.D., there was an unopened file in front of Nick Fury's desk. This is a superhero plan formulated many years ago in response to the crisis outside the Earth. It's just that for so many years, except for Captain Marvel, I have never seen the existence of a local superhero on Earth. And now, there is such a person in front of his eyes. Go and investigate, but don't disturb that person. In the end, Nick Fury issued such an order. In the archives of S.H.I.E.L.D., there is a record of a tragedy in England that happened 10 years ago. The Baron Kent's family, a branch of the famous Windsor family, was actually buried in the heavy snow along with the century-old town. Oddly enough, the town wasn't in a perennially frozen zone. All the blame points to the young Baron of the Kent family, Master Aaron. It's just that since that incident, Aaron has disappeared from that small town and never left any traces. Natasha Romanoff jumped down and quietly came around the house. I have been to this gallery in the daytime, but it is not as scary as it is now. The owner of this gallery does not seem to believe in God, and there are various images of God being tortured throughout the gallery. I don't know if he has a bad taste or is born to reject God. In short, the boss's first glance at him was glamorous. Died? Natasha Romanoff arrived at the destination, and at her feet was the corpse of the ninja in red. The whole body fell to the ground without exception, and the state of shouting with both hands was extremely terrifying. Hiss. Natasha Romanoff couldn't help but shudder. She didn't know that Aaron's eyes had been watching here the whole time. There is no way, although I want to retreat, but the bounden duty of an agent is to find out the truth. So, Natasha Romanoff obediently walked into this gallery. Slap. The lights in the gallery were turned on at that moment, and Aaron's words were displayed everywhere in the room. Aaron's painting style is very interesting. It looks like a pure land of bliss everywhere, without any flaws in it. But when you stare at a painting carefully, you will be shocked by the scene in this painting. Natasha Romanoff. S.H.I.E.L.D. high-level agent, what's the point of coming to the gallery so late? At this moment, a familiar figure appeared in front of Natasha Romanoff. Aaron. In an instant, a chill came out from the soles of Natasha Romanoff's feet, and went straight to the top of his head, shivering in a daze. Come to investigate? Unfortunately, this is just a small gallery, and I don't have what you need. With a rattling sound, Aaron walked down the stairs slowly in small steps. Black robe, blue eyes, black hair. He was actually holding a piece of cream cake in his hand, dotted with a bright red strawberry. No, I'm just here to represent S.H.I.E.L.D., to express our goodwill to you, absolutely without any intention of offending you. Natasha Romanoff gave a wry smile. The ghost would talk to you so politely if he hadn't seen that red-clothed ninja fall in front of your door with his own eyes. Oh? Really? Aaron took a small bite of the cream and put it in his mouth to taste it. Then he smiled lightly and said, "It's getting late, when are you leaving?" Etc. Aaron was about to turn his head upstairs when he was stopped by Natasha Romanoff. What? Do you have something else to do? Although I have all-knowing and omnipotent skills, if I don't take the initiative to use them, I can't see the future and the past. But the woman in front of him, Aaron, can be regarded as clear about her origin. S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. A woman who relies on the temptation of beauty to achieve her goal. This kind of woman, in the past time, I would not have even glanced at it. Okay. This time I came to the world of games. I'm too lazy to do things that don't please me. Instead of dealing with the woman in front of him, he might as well think about how to hand over the plots in his paintings to the original owner. Aaron wondered too, with his own meddling. In what direction will these inevitable events go? I want to know, how are those ninjas doing now? Natasha Romanoff gave Aaron a smug smile. Ninja? Aaron's face was already pale, and he looked like the kind of person who was seriously ill and was in a state of recovery. However, this woman has been staring at her side since the very beginning. If you kill it, your own fun will be gone. But if you don't get rid of it, someone will say you are the Holy Mother. Alas, it's hard to be a god, and it's also hard to be immortal. Died. Simply say it directly, so that this woman doesn't know what to do. However, Natasha Romanoff belongs to the kind of woman who never gives up until she achieves her goal. Seeing that Aaron knew about it, she asked again. Where's the body? Natasha Romanoff pressed on. Well, Every place under your feet is their corpses. How about this answer? This answer is a bit awesome. Natasha Romanoff instantly felt what it means to be creepy. When she said this, the man in front of her didn't have any fear, but a strange indifference. It was as if disposing of these ninjas was as simple as crushing an ant. Their lives are even less than that of an ant. I shouldn't have come in, he won't kill me. Natasha Romanoff thought so. Don't worry, I have no interest in killing anyone. What to do? He can actually hear me. Do you want to evacuate? This person is really too scary. Aaron smiled faintly, and suddenly realized that the woman in front of him didn't seem as annoying as before. In the face of death, people always show a cute side, even the battle-hardened agents. Tell me, what exactly does your boss want with me? At the moment, Aaron is not going to hide it anymore. Straight to the point. You say what you say, I will listen to me, anyway, I will not agree to what you say. Aaron's voice was transmitted directly to S.H.I.E.L.D. through Natasha Romanoff's earphones. A dark marinated egg really stood in his office and gave instructions to Natasha Romanoff. Mr. Aaron, I think you should also know about our S.H.I.E.L.D. What game? S.H.I.E.L.D. Natasha Romanoff gritted her teeth. Oh, I understand a little bit, that is, the science and strategy stuff. Well, for a while, the little cake in my hand was no longer delicious. Mr. Aaron, after careful investigation, we found that you are a human being with extraordinary power, and we S.H.I.E.L.D. are planning to gather a group of such human beings to deal with the external crisis. So, do you want to consider joining us? Oh, here we come. Coming. You promised. Natasha Romanoff was a little overjoyed. Not interested, you can go. Where does S.H.I.E.L.D. have the fragrance of the little cake in his hand? If you come to a sanctuary at this moment and an Athena appears, you still have time to play with them. As for such an organization of human beings, he not only couldn't arouse any interest, but also found it inexplicably dirty. Natasha Romanoff was taken aback for a moment, then thought of something, jumped up and came to Aaron at the fastest speed. Don't you really think about it? Are you really stupid, or are you just pretending? Natasha Romanoff, or Mr. Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I suggest you S.H.I.E.L.D. don't get close to me, otherwise I will do something, even I don't necessarily know. There was no emotion in Aaron's voice, and anyone who saw it would feel a biting chill. This tone has clearly and accurately expressed his own opinion. No matter how much you mess around, maybe you won't be able to leave here. Natasha Romanoff is not stupid, nor is she a scheming bitch. Knowing that his ability was inferior to the man in front of him, he had the idea of leaving. Natasha Romanoff agent, retreat, temporarily abandon the idea of recruiting this person, and continue the investigation instead of contact. S.H.I.E.L.D., within the helicarrier. Nick Fury looked at some information about Aaron on the desktop, folded his arms and fell into deep thought. Yes, sir. Once again contact failed, Natasha Romanoff left the gallery dejectedly. After going out, a gust of cold wind hit, and I realized that my back was completely soaked in cold sweat at some point. This man felt his legs tremble when he stood in front of him. What kind of person are you? In the gallery, a black figure slowly walked out from the wall. Then he knelt in front of Aaron on one knee. Master Hades, do you want to dispose of that human? Aaron ate the last bite of the small cake, and then smiled lightly. No, you guys continue to sleep. The next day, afternoon, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. According to the latest news from the Millennium Daily, the son of the Stark Military Industry Group, Tony Stark, was attacked by an unknown person when he went out to discuss business with others, and his whereabouts are currently unknown. Affected by the news, major shareholders of the Stark Group are discussing a rescue plan. Then enter the interview screen. In the gallery, Aaron got up early in the morning. He has long been familiar with the news on TV. At this moment, this guy named Tony Stark should still be building his armor in a certain cave. This world emphasizes that the poor rely on mutation, and the rich rely on technology. I don't know what fun things that Stark can create. Not far away, on the wall not far from Aaron, there happened to be a picture from not long ago. It was a man wearing red and gold interlaced armor, but the mechs all over his body were broken. The man fell into the ruins, and there were many people in the ruins. This painting is called The Final Battle. The owner in this painting is almost exactly the same as Tony Stark, the son of the Stark Group who disappeared in the news. My lord, I found it. They are in an abandoned industrial base in Hell's Kitchen. At this moment, a puppet-like figure appeared in front of Aaron. He was wearing a black armor, but his appearance was rather crude. Well, I'll wait for them. In Hell's Kitchen, under a seemingly crude industrial base, hides the largest power of the hand. Most of the members of the at the moment hand are gathered here, except for the news that one of the 5 fingers is still looking for dragon bones in Africa. The other 4 fingers gathered here, discussing how to deal with Aaron. That man has the exact location of the keel, but the people we sent there haven't returned yet. Mrs. Gao cracked her fingers and made a clicking sound. He's dead. That man is not simple. Even if I went there in person, I couldn't get any benefits. Ma'am, you are joking. We are all from the Holy Land, ordinary people. It shouldn't be simple, he is a master. The person who spoke here was the fourth of the 5 masters of the Hand Association, all of whom came from Kunlun. They wanted the painting in Aaron's hand because there were traces of keel in the painting. Send all the masters in the game. I don't believe he can deal with so many ninjas alone. Also, I will go there myself. I don't believe how capable this kid is. Mrs. Gao squinted her eyes and carefully recalled the scene when she met that man for the first time yesterday. It was exactly as the fat man said, mysterious and filled with all sorts of weird atmospheres. Good boy, this fat man is trying to use us to test that man. After all, one mountain cannot accommodate 2 tigers. In another place below the kitchen, a fat man who looked very fat but was full of explosive muscles sat on his throne. What he was holding in his hand was a painting that Aaron had thrown over when he first came to Hell's Kitchen and planned to recruit him. In this painting, I am dead. He died miserably. Not only that, even his only child died in the hands of hostile forces. Boss, they have acted. At this moment, a bald head came in from the outside and reported the news to Jin Bing. Well, as long as he kills the hand, the entire Hell's Kitchen will be completely my 3 forces. But, Matt, that kid. Don't worry. Jin Bin waved his hand. This kid won't be successful, don't worry about it. The residents of Hell's Kitchen are free, and there are only a few streets in the entire Manhattan area, which are symbols of chaos and disorder. And this gallery stands in this place. In the dark night, this gallery is like an ancient castle, and there is a strangeness everywhere. But the owner here didn't think so at all, but sat on the roof of his own gallery board, staring at the stars in the sky. There was a rustling sound. In Aaron's eyes, not far away, a dozen red-clothed ninjas suddenly jumped up. The target has been locked, which is yourself. Oh, don't you give up. Aaron waved his hand, not intending to come down from the roof, and calmly looked at the ninjas in front of him. Then, a silver blade cut through the air, passed through Aaron's body and landed behind Aaron's back. Is it an afterimage? Murakami, one of the 5 fingers of the hand, is the direct leader of this group of ninjas. A person who has lived for hundreds of years is naturally familiar with the afterimage in front of him. In the ninja school, there are people who have cultivated their body skills to the extreme, so that people can't catch their original figure. But does it work? I'm a high-level ninja. Mere body skills won't do anything to me. Breathing sound. As long as you listen to the surrounding sounds quietly, you can find the direction of the target. Just at the moment. Found it. Apart from anything else, the surrounding ninjas directly killed in the direction of the breath under Murakami's signal. Dozens of silver blades looked so dazzling under the moonlight. And right in front of his eyes, a ninja pulled out a red sword from behind and rushed over directly. One shot. Cut. More than a dozen red-clothed ninjas began to perform Yidao-style ninjutsu, and the piercing Daoguang directly cut through the air and landed in front of Aaron's eyes. But neither Murakami nor Mrs. Gao, who was watching all this not far away, had thought of it. Aaron just raised his hand slowly, as if a transparent wall appeared in front of him. These blades can't get in at all. Murakami frowned. His sword was different from the ninja beside him. Containing Kunlun's secret method, each blade can tear the little boy in front of him into pieces. But what he never expected was, the little white face in front of him raised his arm gently like this, and waved it slowly, and the people around him just fell out like that. Boom. The movements were very gentle, but these ninjas fell directly from the roof of the building, and were firmly embedded in the ground. Immediately afterwards, Aaron slowly raised his arm. In an instant, Murakami found that something seemed to be tightly strangling his neck. For a while, no matter how hard I tried to break free, I couldn't break free from this strange force. You are a super ability. Well. Aaron stared at the man in front of him lightly. He didn't feel anything, but after Murakami looked directly into the eyes of the man in front of him. Then I found that a feeling of suffocation appeared. I guess. Boom. Before he had time to see Aaron's movements, Murakami found himself disappearing from the roof of the building. After all, it is an old monster, but its physique is different. Under Aaron's easy attack, only a few ribs were broken, and he did not die directly. I'm here to negotiate terms with you. Hand over the keel to me, and we can forget the past. But just at this time, my lord, be careful. A ninja suddenly got out from behind him and rushed to the front of Murakami. Kudu-san. Boom. No notice, no reaction. There was no time to make any rescue moves, and the ninja in red in front of him was crushed to pieces directly on Murakami's face. Suddenly, more than a dozen red-clothed ninjas under him died in front of his eyes at the same time. On the ground, without exception, a huge amounts of deep pit appeared. There is no blood in it. I hate blood. Eren simply wiped his palms, without any expression on his face, staring at the man in front of him emotionlessly. You, and the person hiding behind, come out. As soon as the words fell, Mrs. Gao came out from the corner behind her. This person was the old lady who planned to buy the painting for $5 in Eren's gallery yesterday. The reason why I don't want to see you is because you are insulting my art with $5. Eren tapped his finger lightly, and Madame Gao knelt down in an instant. But, you people, you don't always know how to be satisfied. Madame Gao knelt down again. At this moment, a pungent bloody smell came from Mrs. Gao's body. A coercion aimed only at Mrs. Gao directly shattered her patella. The broken bone pierced the surrounding blood vessels, directly causing several huge amounts of cracks to appear on Mrs. Gao's thigh. A lot of blood flowed down from the thigh, and Mrs. Gao stared at Eren angrily. You. At the moment, some fear appeared in Murakami's eyes. The 5 fingers of the hand are all from Kunlun. In addition, after living a lot of time, I have already seen some things very lightly. But to live is the only wish in their hearts. Death, or submit to my hands, Eren said lightly. Snort. At the moment when Eren targeted Mrs. Gao, Murakami pulled out the cold iron sword in his hand, shouted angrily and rushed towards Eren. The speed is so fast that it is really difficult for ordinary people to catch it. But at this moment, a ball of light slowly appeared in Eren's palm. Immediately, Murakami in front of him felt a kind of fear, which was a kind of boundary between life and death. Once touched, even if you are a living person, you will fall into the endless hell. A bunch of idiots. Whoosh! At this moment, a silver bullet fired directly from a distance. This silver bullet is engraved with ancient runes. It seems to be a special tool for targeting some kind of evil object. Pity. The bullet fell just 1 centimeter in front of Eren's eyes, and landed in Eren's hands. It smells so bad. The ball of light spread out naturally in his hand. At such a moment, Murakami fell down straight in front of Eren's eyes. Yes, and you. Eren stared in the direction where Mrs. Gao was, and then saw Mrs. Gao turned into a pair of dry bones and fell to the ground, turning into white ashes and being blown away by the wind. This. In the distance, another high-level executive of the hand, who was about to shoot Eren to death with a sniper rifle on a high-rise building, suddenly realized that the target had disappeared from his sight. The breath of death surged up by itself. Are you looking for me? This icy and bone-chilling voice appeared in the back of her head, and Alexandra was instantly frightened out of her wits. You killed Murakami and his wife. Alexandra was terrified at this moment. The devil in front of her had actually killed her companion in a strange way in her sniping field of vision. Well, you're going too. At this moment, Eren's body was floating in front of the building, staring at Alexandra's body. This woman exudes a decadent aura. Although it is slightly better than the previous two, it is still full of sin. This is a world full of sins. Even if you want to simply live a quiet life, there will always be someone who breaks into your life. You. I will fight with you. The 5 fingers are all elders from Kunlun, and they are all older than normal people. They do bad things in this world, and these people are not immune to anything that is recorded in the law. Madame Gao, the blood of many children and companions has been stained on her hands. Murakami, in order to achieve his goal, how many innocent lives are in his hands? Eren counted all the sins of these people like a treasure. Alexandra made a move. With an incomparably gorgeous punch, he came to kill Eren. She knew that if she didn't make a move, she would have no hope of surviving in the hands of this devil. But if he makes the move himself, then he still has the hope of escaping from the hands of this person in front of him. Just at this time, a cloud of blue air burst out of Alexandra's hand, like 2 green snakes, charging towards Eren. It's a pity that Eren didn't move at all while standing in the sky. There seemed to be an invisible barrier in front of him, preventing Alexandra from approaching him at all. Boom. 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 No matter how hard Alexandra's fist was, when it was only a thin line away from Eren, it was bounced away by an inexplicable force in front of Eren. Alexandra's shadow is getting faster and faster, ordinary people simply can't keep up. But Eren was the only one who stood calmly on the void, never making a move at all. Shield, in Nick Fury's office. Director, another unknown energy fluctuation was discovered in Manhattan. After some calculations, we locked on the target. Hill agent brought a notebook and came to report. It's him again? Turn on the monitor to see. Yes. Bidden looked at the surveillance video with a headache. 3 blocks away from Hell's kitchen, a black shadow was suspended in midair. At the same time, Aaron seemed to have discovered something. He even waved his hand at the surveillance camera, and then the camera went completely black. Seeing this, Fury seemed to think of a woman. The plan to find a superhero is imminent. What's going on with Dr. Banner? If it doesn't work, I will hand over this task to Natasha Romanoff, agent. I believe she should be a relatively important person to Banner. Yes, give orders immediately. After getting the order, Hill turned his head and planned to leave. But suddenly remembered that there was something in his hand that he hadn't handed over, and immediately turned his head and put the notebook in his hand on Fury's desk. Director. Huh? Fury nodded, looking out the window. The glacier search for Captain Steve is already underway. I believe we will be able to meet that superhero in the near future. Before tall buildings. Alexandra was exhausted, but she didn't touch Aaron at all. Not to mention attacking. Aaron didn't even make a counterattack. The shadow floating in the air was like a devil, staring at him firmly. You. Who the hell are you? At this moment, Alexandra was completely panicked. We are saints descended from Kunlun, how dare you? Alexandra's words were carried into Aaron's ears by the wind. At this moment, the robe on the young Aaron at the moment fluttered with the wind. No one could see Aaron's face clearly, nor could he feel any expression on Aaron's face. Kunlun? Crushable. After finishing speaking, an invisible force directly grabbed Alexandra in front of her. The figure disappeared in front of the building at the fastest speed. Under that round of bright moon, a godlike shadow appeared on that industrial base. Afterwards, Aaron waved his palm lightly. Move a little bit. Alexandra fell so stiffly. The hand, there are tens of thousands of lives on your body, and the methods are extremely cruel. The 5 leaders have violated the law of life, trying to use the gods to survive. According to Master Hades' order, you should be damned. In the base, a man in black armor hides in the darkness. At this moment, a familiar breath descended from the sky. Now Lord Hades has come, and you will be punished in the second hell through Santu River according to your crime. Hell has come. At that moment, a huge amount of opening appeared in the entire darkness. On a muddy river, a small boat is slowly flowing. Who are you? Alexandra found that she couldn't see the man in front of her at all, only a pair of icy blue eyes. Aaron smiled slightly, and then threw Alexandra directly. A black figure immediately ran up from the Santu River, and locked Alexandra's arm in front of him. You idiot. As the whip went down, a familiar yet terrifying name appeared in Alexandra's mind. That's Hades, Lord Hades. What happened next completely surpassed Alexandra's imagination, and a gate of hell was opened. The water of the Santu River symbolizes the beginning of endless death. It is the people like them who walk on the edge of crime, the most fearful heart. No. No. I am the saint of Kunlun, you can't treat me like this. Alexandra howled wildly. It's a pity that at this moment, Aaron doesn't have any pity for the person in front of him in his eyes. In the dead space, a black-purple light ball appeared from Aaron's hand. This symbolizes the divine power of Hades, the lord of the underworld, instantly released in his hands. No expansion, no sinner left out. The moment this ball of light appeared, all the people in the underground base of the hand lost their lives at the same time. In the sky above the Pacific Ocean, on top of an aerospace carrier hidden in the clouds. This is where the real headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D. is located, and the Trident headquarters in the city of New York is just a gimmick. Jingle bell. Phil Coulson. Natasha Romanoff's job in Manhattan has handed it over to you, about that young man. Nick Fury's words are not over yet. On the other end of the line, Agent Phil Coulson's voice sounded a little unnatural. Phil Coulson? What's wrong with you? Director, I just sent a video to your mailbox, go and see for yourself. Video? What video? Nick Fury immediately came to his computer and turned it on. Sure enough, in my email, a video just sent by Phil Coulson appeared. This is. Fury was stunned. The picture in the video is the underground base of the hand that was just investigated not long ago. This base should not be responsible for itself. After all, S.H.I.E.L.D. is responsible for some high-tech criminals. The old monsters of the hand have heard about it for a long time, but some dirty deals carried out by their subordinates should be the responsibility of the customs and the New York Police Department. So, although S.H.I.E.L.D. knew about this place, it didn't pay much attention to it. But now, in front of him, hundreds of people died in this base without warning. There were no wounds on their bodies, and some people even died completely in their sleep. This, the face of the black stewed egg became even darker in an instant. So, Nick Fury immediately contacted Phil Coulson, wanting to know more about the situation on the scene. Director. At the scene, Phil Coulson looked a little ugly at the moment. In the entire underground base of the hand, Except for a large opening on the roof, no traces of fighting were found. In other words, the Japanese ninjas in front of them all died at that moment without notice. Only in this way can it be explained that even when they died, they did not find any signs of struggle. At this moment, several agents who searched the scene suddenly came over. Phil Coulson. What do you think this is? The detective held a plastic bag in his hand, and inside the bag was an object similar to a flower petal. However, the petals have long since withered. The black marks on it are also in a normal state of withering, not some dried blood. Take it for analysis, and give me the results of the analysis as soon as possible. Phil Coulson had never seen a leaf like this one, but since it was the only one found at the scene, it must have been related to the killer. Director, the decedent's facial expression is very ferocious. It seems to be Alexandra, one of the top cadres of the hand, recorded in our file. Phil Coulson took a picture of Alexandra's body and sent it. After Fury received it, his face was shocked. Isn't this woman the one who confronted Aaron, the owner of the gallery, on the tall building last night under the surveillance? No wonder it's so familiar, Alexandra, the 5 fingers of the hand. Wait. Last night, the hand members raided the gallery, and Aaron killed Murakami and Mrs. Gao from the hand, so Alexandra's death. Could it be that person too? The people in S.H.I.E.L.D. only know that Aaron has an ability beyond that of ordinary people. But they didn't know what Aaron's super ability was. But today, Nick Fury suddenly felt a chill coming from his back. This is giving a living person to death without warning, and he can do it without leaving any traces on the scene. This person is a dangerous person. Thus, the task of S.H.I.E.L.D. has become serious. Regarding this Aaron's identity information, they started to conduct a comprehensive investigation. 33rd Street, Hell's Kitchen, Manhattan. The petals of the solid double tree. This thing has a different kind of sweet taste in it when brewing tea. On the other end, a bald woman also unceremoniously raised the cup in her hand. After taking a sip, he looked at the young man in front of him. You mean, I will be killed by my disciples in the not too distant future? How? Aaron looked at the bald woman and asked with a smile. Didn't Sorcerer Supreme already see their own future? Do you still need me to answer you for such a trivial matter? Ancient One smiled. But I can't see your past, and I can't see your future. The bald woman in gray and white robe in front of her is the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One who guards this world. Then, the green magic weapon she wore on her chest. It is the most precious and special time gem in this world, Eye of Agamotto. As the only level Godfather Master guarding this planet, Ancient One's strength cannot be underestimated. So, at this moment in this small gallery, the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One, who guards the planet, actually appeared in person and visited the owner of the gallery. 10 years ago, when I was in Kamar Taj, I felt an extreme darkness suddenly appear, but when I arrived, I found that this dark force suddenly disappeared. Aaron sat aside, staring at Ancient One. And last night, I felt this darkness again. Ancient One spoke on his own, and Aaron listened on his own. He doesn't care what the other party in front of him wants to say, and he doesn't know what secrets are hidden in the other party's heart. Finally, after Ancient One expressed all his guesses and doubts, he immediately pointed the finger at Aaron in front of him. That person 10 years ago, was it you? Ancient One smiled slightly, and continued. At that time, when I felt that old English town, I only found a painting that was almost the same style as the one in your gallery. I was still young at that time. Aaron took a sip of the tea in the cup lightly, and said lightly. But now, I won't. Aaron stood up suddenly, exuding a desperate aura, but the aura dissipated afterward. It really is you, the great magician who masters the darkness. Now that Ancient One has confirmed Aaron's identity, he plans to let go of his heart. According to her investigation, this person has not posed any threat to the world in front of him in 10 years. On the contrary, it has helped some weak races. It's just weird that this man used the identity of Hades, the Hades of the Olympus pantheon, in the mouths of those he helped. As the Asgardians of this planet, the Ancient One knew of the lost gods. In the battles of the Tiantian group, these gods finally left this planet and decided not to interfere in the affairs of this planet. Ancient One magician, you came to find me this time, isn't it just to confirm my true identity? Aaron stared at the Ancient One in front of him, and then said. The dark power that spreads the breath of death in your body can no longer be stabilized. You tried to steal the dark energy of another dimension as a supplement to your life. It seems that you have encountered trouble. As Pluto, Aaron has a keen perception of dark energy. On the body of the Sorcerer Supreme in front of him, there was a disgusting dark energy. This energy is tyrannical, unstable, and disgusting. It didn't belong to the magician in front of him, but he got it on himself in a clever way. Aaron smiled slightly, as if he understood what the magician in front of him was looking for. As expected of the master who has mastered the darkness, yes, I do have some things I want you to help me with. Ancient One, who was wearing an off-white magician robe, had actually been guiding the topic to his side. Unfortunately, Aaron was not fooled by this. It is very difficult to take the lead in generalizing yourself. In desperation, Ancient One shook his head, and said something not calm with a very calm expression. Afterwards, Ancient One waved his hand and opened up an unfamiliar space, completely enveloping the two of them in it. Mirror space. Aaron is more interested in this kind of space-type ability. As the king of Pluto, he has not yet been connected to his own pure land of bliss, and he feels somewhat regretful. I don't know when my sleeping real body will wake up. Damn Athena, when I recover, I must beat your dog's head violently. And that group of mischievous saints are really annoying. It seems that Mr. Aaron's attainments have far surpassed mine. There is no need to flatter each other commercially, let's talk. Ancient One nodded. Neither of them is a fuel-efficient lamp, so there is no need to talk about such mutual flattery. The future I saw the destruction of this blue planet. A dark energy swallowed this planet. I suspect it is the power from Otherworld, but no matter how I deduce it, I can't find the source of this power. Ancient One said lightly. Now Aaron finally knows why the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One came to find him. The dark energy devours the earth. Isn't this just the scene before his reincarnation in his previous life? When the 9 stars link up and completely cover the sun, this planet will fall into dead silence. It's just that this reincarnation no longer has any interest in this boring jihad. You think I devoured this planet? Facing Aaron's question, Ancient One shook his head, and his expression became even more puzzled. In my deduction, I can't see your existence, you don't belong to this world, you have no past and future. So, you may well be the only way to save this planet. When Aaron heard it, his eyebrows twitched a little. How come, I, a god who symbolizes death, have become the savior of this world? Is it funny? You actually believe me, an outsider? As the Sorcerer Supreme of this planet, shouldn't you reject the invasion of outsiders? Ancient One smiled. Because I know that I may not be your opponent. If this word is known to others, it will really make people laugh and be generous. Who is Ancient One, the famous Sorcerer Supreme? Thanos, who has been wandering in outer space and coveted several infinite gems on the earth, did not dare to invade the earth, which symbolizes the center of the 9 realms, until Odin and Ancient One died. But now, the famous Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One is in front of such an unknown young man. Having said that, I am not as good as you. Aaron played with his slender fingers boredly, and raised a finger in a descriptive motion. Your life was stolen from another Mephisto, you can't support it now. Ancient One's face was startled, but then returned to normal. As expected of the Master of Darkness, I can see through my essence at a glance. Speaking of this, Ancient One took out a parchment book, which exuded a hideous dark power. This is the Book of Cagliostro, which was left in the human world by Dormammu, the ruler of the Otherworld. After the words fell, Aaron took the thing into his hands at once. Don't open it. Before Ancient One had time to react, Aaron opened the thing directly. Ancient text. I don't understand. But Aaron didn't say these words, otherwise it would be too out of style. What is written on it is some ancient demon language, which can only be deciphered by the chosen people of this world. And the one in front of him is a human being with such power. In other words, the current Sorcerer Supreme has already surpassed the scope of human beings. According to this world, she is now a god hidden in the world. Is the aura on it the Mephisto you mentioned? It has to be said that Aaron suddenly became interested in the owner of the book in front of him. After all, this Mephisto in a different dimension is also the master of dark forces, and he is also the master of dark forces. There is no room for 2 tigers on this mountain. For this Mephisto, Aaron suddenly became a little interested. Yes, his name is Dormammu. Just now, Aaron exuded a strong fighting spirit against Dormammu. Ancient One seems to have seen an existence on the same system as itself. Does this person have the Father's ability? The level of the Heavenly Father is equivalent to the existence of the main god of a planet. The moment Aaron released his fighting spirit just now, the extreme darkness seemed to have reached this standard. It may be even stronger. It seems that I have found the real master today. Ancient One is already old, and his desire for life and power has greatly suppressed his original ability. If she continues to absorb the energy of the dark dimension, sooner or later she will become Dormammu's puppet. So now she needs someone to appear to protect the world instead of herself. And this person in front of him is his best choice. Ancient One, summon him. Aaron finally put down the book, and then looked at Ancient One with cold eyes. I want to see what this Mephisto, who has mastered the power of darkness, looks like. Huh? Ancient One was taken aback for a moment, and then came to his senses. Mr. Aaron, we can't summon him here. The seal energy in New York holy place is still too weak. If he breaks through the seal, it will bring infinite crisis to the world. Then go to your Kamar Taj. After finishing speaking, Aaron's figure disappeared from his eyes. Ancient One was taken aback for a moment. This man, this speed. Before I could react at all, I felt that the magic circle I had set up on Kamar Taj was touched for a while. So fast? I need to use the sling ring to open the door quickly, and this person's speed. Ancient One reluctantly opened a red portal, and before it opened, he felt a coercion coming from the other side of the door. Modu. Stop. Aaron came to Kamar Taj first, but hadn't entered the door yet. Suddenly, a burst fireball appeared in front of my eyes. Not only that, but in the direction where the fireball was located, someone actually cast the spell of mirror space towards him. If he hadn't felt that Ancient One was still in New York, he would have immediately decided that this was a trap set by Ancient One for himself. Unfortunately, not so. HMPH. Who? Following Aaron's cold snort, the mirrored space shattered like a mirror. On the ground of Kamar Taj, a magician with a bald head didn't even intend to let go. Immediately using the sling ring in his hand, he instantly cast a variety of high-level spells towards himself. Pity. None of these spells could hit Aaron in the sky. It's as if a demon suddenly came to the world, and this demon is still in existence that he can't deal with. I found you. At this moment, the black-bald magician suddenly heard the whisper of a demon. The figure in the sky disappeared from the range of his magic lock. Ice Spike. At this moment, 4 magic circles suddenly appeared above Aaron's head, in front of him, behind him, and under his feet. Then, 2 magic circles appeared beside the body on both sides. Green plants appeared from it, blocking Aaron's direction of action. And on the rest of the magic circle, a few ice thorns exuding a chill fell directly. Modu. Stop. The voice has not yet fallen. Aaron grinned. So, your name is Modu. There seemed to be a strange light in the light blue eyes, and Modu's body froze instantly in front of his eyes. You are very lucky, you can be remembered by me. It seems that the people whose names are remembered by Hades, the king of the underworld, are all dead. Modu died, and died inexplicably. When Ancient One arrived, Modu's body was already disintegrating. In the eyes of Ancient One, Aaron didn't make a move at all. It's me, Aaron. The bone-chilling voice made Dormammu, who was in the dark dimension, feel a kind of fear. Definitely, you can also call me Hades. That is the dark breath that truly symbolizes death. It seems that from the perspective of the energy level, it far surpasses itself. At that moment, the Dormammu duplication trying to cross the dimensional rift. He also suddenly saw a figure, suddenly appearing in front of Ancient One. The darkness emanating from this person is even greater than the energy on Ancient One. When did such a character appear on this planet? You? Dormammu's duplication forcibly suppressed the panic in his heart. This person's level is definitely not lower than his own. My own duplication will definitely not be an opponent. Unfortunately, Dormammu didn't see it. The Ancient One on the side not only did not stop the darkness from coming, but even emitted a smile towards Dormammu in those eyes. Aaron nodded slightly. The so-called Dark Mephisto in front of him seems to be different from what he imagined. HMPH. Ignorant mortals, do you think that with the help of a Dark Mephisto, you can pose a threat to the great dimensional master? Saying that, countless dark energies rushed out from the crack. With the surrounding breath constantly surging, the huge amounts of shadows are stepping across the boundary between the two spaces. Unfortunately, at the moment, Aaron raised his hand gently. Immediately, the dark aura emanating from his body completely enveloped the duplication energy of Dormammu. The boundless and endless terrifying aura on Dormammu was like a child playing house in front of Aaron's eyes. It was completely unable to advance half a point. In this contest between darkness and darkness, a not-so-gorgeous figure just stood in front of Ancient One and Dormammu. The Black Priest's robe was blown wantonly by the dark whirlwind. Aaron's pale face, a pair of blue pupils stared expressionlessly at the Dimension Master in front of him. If it is said that the feeling that Aaron gave Ancient One before was just an existence of the same level. Well now. The current Aaron is like a god from ancient times, who suddenly descended into this world. Dark and dark, tyrannical and cold. The two are not on the same line at all, but they collided together at this moment. Spotted from above Kamar Taj, the sky seems to be torn apart by a mysterious force. And in this torn space, 2 figures, one big and one small, are confronting each other. I thought the so-called Lord of the Dark Dimension was so powerful, but I didn't expect that he was just a shrinking turtle. Aaron stared at the duplication that hadn't fully descended in front of him and sneered. Damn it. Human, you managed to get my attention. As the master of a dimension, he was actually provoked by this man in front of him. How to put it, it is tolerable, which is unbearable. Finally, a Dormammu duplication completely condensed with dark energy came. The space is completely torn apart. The earth was also trembling under this coercion. Humble ants, go die. Boundless and endless anger resounded through the entire sky. The entire earth can feel a wave of extreme fear descending. However, mortals don't know what's going on. However, the anomalous phenomenon observation organizations in various places have captured everything in front of them very sharply. The endless dark energy rushed towards Eren like a violent torrent. That powerful aura, even the Ancient One at this moment, would feel fear. Pity. Dormammu's opponent is not the Ancient One, but the life of Hades, Eren himself. That's all you have? Let your true self come over. With that said, Eren raised his hand lightly. On Eren's palm, a tiny energy bullet is being condensed. Then a huge amounts of purple light ball completely covered the Kamar-Taj sky. This energy. Dormammu's duplication frowned. Definitely, others can't see it. If he accepts such a trick, then his duplication will definitely disintegrate outside this world. The superstar energy bomb filled with darkness and dead silence exploded at this moment. Be it Dormammu, or the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One. At this time, they all felt a strong will covering the universe, wrapping up the dark shock released by Dormammu. Moment. The energy bomb exploded. The contest between darkness and darkness can easily come to an end at this moment. It's like the beginning of the universe, and it's like the end of the universe. The boundless aura suddenly overwhelmed this duplication of Dormammu, and directly crushed it. No, no. Humble ants, how dare you hurt my duplication? I will tender you to death. Unfortunately, this voice has not yet fallen. The aftermath of the huge amounts of energy ball actually passed through this space at that moment. Dark to the extreme energy, all of a sudden passed through Dormammu's duplication. The world behind Dormammu duplication exploded. Boom. Yalin smiled slightly, and actually stuffed Dormammu's duplication back. The terrifying energy was released instantly, and the torn sky revealed a dead space. Go away. That's it. It's not good enough. In Eren's grave, one darkness enveloped another darkness. It's just that in that deeper dark world, a so-called strong man is incompetent and furious. Humble bug. I will definitely come here. I hope you don't die too early. Relax you. After finishing speaking, Eren waved his hand, and actually directly sewed up the crack behind him. Dormammu disappeared into the space with his impotent rage. Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One on one side, also intends to cast magic, designing Dormammu as last time. It's a pity that the young man in front of him didn't even give himself any chance to make a move. During the battle with Dormammu, the young man only took 2 shots, and once, released a huge amount of energy from his hand. This dark energy condensed into a sphere that traveled through space and exploded in the world of Dormammu. And the other time is the last. It took me a lot of time to repair the perfect space crack, but this young man repaired it just by waving his hand. Such accomplishments in space magic, it is definitely the rarest thing in my life. Even at this moment, Ancient One completely forgot that his disciple Modu died at the hands of this man. She just wanted to keep this man in Kamar-Taj. With the existence of this man, even after he dies, someone will continue to guard this planet. Ancient One Magician? Ancient One Magician. Eren's voice appeared, and Ancient One recovered instantly, and once again saw the light of wisdom in her eyes. You. Ancient One hesitated for a while, and then stated his purpose. Are you interested in joining Kamar-Taj? Eren was wearing a black robe similar to that of a priest, and he looked even more majestic in this confined space. There was no emotion in those eyes. Completely different from his facial expressions, his eyes seemed to contain the entire universe. Profound. Even Ancient One couldn't understand the young man in front of him. Sorry, magician. Eren shook his head, and saw through Ancient One's little thoughts at a glance. I'm just a simple ordinary person, and I don't have much interest in protecting the earth. You say that you haven't seen me in the future, maybe I don't belong to this world. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility, isn't it? Ancient One still wanted to persuade the man in front of him, but unfortunately, Eren was always reticent. I'm really not interested. Instead of placing your hopes on me, you might as well find your disciple. The time has not come, it is not the time. Although Ancient One has lived for a long time, he still doesn't understand. This man possessed such powerful dark energy, yet unlike himself, it didn't seem to have been borrowed from some Mephisto. She seemed to have never seen such power. This is not a question of being strong or not, but that she seems to have discovered a new power system. A system that never existed in this world. The potential of this man is limitless. You don't have much time. Just as Ancient One was looking at Aaron, Aaron was also looking at Ancient One. Just like in Aaron's painting, the death of Ancient One is an inevitable fate. As the king of the underworld, he is in charge of life and death. Aaron could clearly feel the heavy breath of death on Ancient One's body. Especially after deceiving Dormammu again this time, the aura on Ancient One became even stronger. No need, I've long looked down on life and death, I just don't want this planet to become a battlefield for some conspirators after I die. Aaron nodded. As expected of Sorcerer Supreme, it has long been bearish on all this. I was just about to take out the Bell of Life, and as long as Ancient One agreed, I could grant her the fate of immortality. It's just that after Ancient One finished speaking, Aaron dismissed the idea. That's it. Things have been settled, and there is no need to stay here anymore. If you regret it, you can come to me. With that said, Aaron left the space without warning. Ancient One didn't even see clearly the back of this person when he left, only left an afterimage in place. This person, in a word, stayed in Ancient One's heart. This person may really be able to reach a level that he couldn't predict in the future. It is not impossible to even become a real god. After Ancient One smiled, he left the place, New York, Manhattan area. That night. It's been a while since Aaron left his gallery, and he didn't know that there are quite a few forces targeting his gallery at this moment. Shish. Be careful. Several black shadows appeared near this gallery, and the surrounding area seemed very quiet. The higher-ups asked us to take pictures of all the paintings in this gallery, and be quicker. Finally, the owner of this place is not here. Don't worry, it will be opened soon. Crack. A shadow ticked the door lock twice, and opened it. All right. Hurry up. A few figures entered the gallery without anyone noticing. But at this moment, an extreme chill protruded from the soles of their feet, behind their shadows. A figure in black armor slowly walked down from the wall. Behind this man, there are a pair of devil's wings. There seemed to be a black whip in his hand, and there was a faint taste of bloodlust. How dare you break into Lord Hades' domain, you guys, how courageous you are. After entering this gallery, these shadows began to act independently. However, this gallery seems to be a little weird. Anderson, why do I feel it's so cold in this room? At the moment, Colonel Needham, one of the 5 infiltrating teams, did not find any scrolls in the room. No. According to the news, the owner of this gallery has not left the city. Moreover, the furnishings of this gallery are almost the same as when we visited the site before. What's going on? Slap. At this moment, a clear voice came over. Colonel Zenodum was startled suddenly, then pulled out a pistol from his waist, and aimed it in front of him. Who is it? A figure was slowly approaching him, but he didn't get any response to his questioning. So, Needham fired immediately. Boom. After the fierce gunshot, the figure in front of him not only didn't have any intention of falling down, but got closer and closer to him. Come again, I'll be really rude. Colonel Needham was shocked immediately. He was not an ordinary person. A military member who was placed in hand by the military. After the end of the war, he was enlisted in SHIELD and became a non-staff member. The action this time was an order issued by a certain senior member of SHIELD. Colonel Needham. At the moment, Colonel Needham suddenly heard a familiar voice, which seemed to be one of the few people he brought. Charles? Is that you? After hearing the familiar voice, Colonel Needham's expression finally returned to normal. However, at the moment when he was about to stand up, a trace of cold sweat suddenly broke out from his own forehead. Wrong. Something is wrong. I just shot myself. Obviously heard the figure of the bullet. But how could Charles appear right in front of him? Colonel. What's the matter with you? The closer the voice was to him, the more frightening he felt. Needham is not an idiot, he is a devout believer in God, he knows that all this is abnormal. It's the devil. It's the devil. The devil appeared. God's greatest enemy is at hand. Needham immediately took out the cross from his arms, which was something his mother asked for in the church. It is said that it is stained with holy water, which can restrain evil things. It's me. Colonel, I'm Charles. Yes, Colonel, and me. No. No. Charles. Anderson, not you. Not you. Something in the darkness finally appeared in front of Needham's eyes. This person was wearing a pitch-black armor, and he had a pair of demon-like wings on his back. In front of him, Charles and Anderson knelt on the ground, staring at him motionless. No. 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 Who are you? How could there be a devil in this gallery? The moment Needham saw the scene in front of him, he stared at the figure in horror. The left hand trembled slightly, and the right hand snapped the trigger again. Crack. 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 Unfortunately, at this moment, the gun in his hand jammed. Charles. Texans, born in 1982, slaughtered 32 people in the battle 2 years ago. The crime is unforgivable, and they will go to hell. Anderson, from San Francisco. It used to be a gangster on the street. He was sent to hell for the crime of killing his brother and covering up. The figure gradually solidified and came in front of Needham. Well, your breath smells so bad. Boom. Finally, the jammed gun moved. The bullet was fired at the devil in front of him. However, it didn't work. And you dare to break into Lord Hades's territory privately. This is the greatest evil. You go to hell. A burst of pitch black light emanated from this person's body. This kind of power that definitely did not come from the world instantly made the intruder feel what majesty is. Endless darkness enveloped the entire gallery, and the satellite lost its trace in an instant. Stone bamboo prison. After a burst of shouting, Needham's figure completely disappeared from his eyes. Anyone who dares to invade the realm of Hades will go to hell. Saying that, a more powerful aura slowly descended from the sky. It's loony, I didn't expect you to wake up too. Just now I was thinking about how the breath of the underworld would appear in my own domain. Unexpectedly, it was the Balrog of Tianying Star who woke up. Aaron walked in slowly from the outside, just in time to see Needham, who was trapped under the Carnation prison. In an instant, eyebrows raised. Immediately, the frowning brows slowly relaxed. These little bugs are too unpleasant. Master Hades, let me handle this matter for you. Aaron shook his head, then said lightly. As my real body was damaged, 108 magic stars also lost their faith. Loony, I have something for you to do. Hearing this, Tian Yingxing Lu Ni immediately knelt down on one knee. Master Hades, please order. Aaron's figure flickered, and then he came to the rooftop. After the holy war ended, my real body was damaged, and I had to appear in this world again in the form of a human being. And the 108 magic stars will reappear with my appearance. After finishing speaking, Aaron glanced at the Tianying star below him. A dark energy covered his body, and then commanded. Go. Do what you should do, and guide the remaining magic stars back. Tian Yingxing, Balrog Luni. As one of the 108 magic stars of the Pluto army, it is also a well-known existence. As the person who guards the first prison in hell, he is the deputy of the noble star Minos, one of the three giants. Holding the book of life and death in one hand, it is dedicated to managing life and death. Judge the sins of life and give rewards and punishments. However, this person hates noisy voices the most, and he doesn't have absolute justice in his heart. He really holds the existence of a balance. Therefore, asking this person to look for the remaining magic stars that descended was purely because Aaron looked at this person a little bored. Tian Yingxing Lu Ni disappeared from this hell's kitchen after receiving the order from Lord Hades. Shield, Manhattan Station, Trident Base. What, failed? An old man with blonde hair patted the table fiercely, and stood up from the table suddenly. It failed. Just now, we lost Colonel Needham's communication signal. Damn it. The old man angrily walked from the edge of the table to the window, and stared out of the window seriously. After he calmed down a little, he turned his head and looked behind him. Fury doesn't know about this. After the man heard this, he shook his head and said. Director Nick Fury doesn't know about it for the time being, but I don't think it should be kept secret for long. Minister Pierce, what should we do next? Pierce at the moment is very hesitation. He was careless, he got the news from S.H.I.E.L.D. before, and thought it was just a simple profit. For this kind of person, Pierce will not let it go. Or, this kind of person has to be brought into his own hands. Or, this kind of person has to go to hell. Beep beep. Alert. Beep beep. Alert. Alarm. Alert. Alert. At this moment, there was a rush of sirens in the building where S.H.I.E.L.D. was stationed in Manhattan. What happened? Pierce looked back with dissatisfaction. As the head of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s security department, he was responsible for the security of the Manhattan area. If something goes wrong in this place, even if he is an old friend of Fury, he will have to go to a military court. I don't know. The alarm sounded suddenly. Report. The satellite has not captured any signal. Rule out the invasion of foreign enemies. Report. There are no strange abnormal reactions around. But at this moment, in the monitoring room of this base, there was a sudden exclamation. My God. What is that? Is it God? That angel-like figure, could it be that God has descended? In the high-rise office, Pierce issued an order. Turn the monitoring screen over, and order all the firepower units in the base to dispatch, and obey my orders. Yes, Minister Pierce. The screen finally switched to Pierce's eyes, and a shadow in a black robe appeared in the midair. This was nothing at all. However, before this person's eyes, there were pictures of Angel painted with pen and ink. The chubby little angel hovered in the sky above S.H.I.E.L.D. Surrounded by these little angels, Aaron is like God descending, giving Pierce great fear. He came. Pierce saw that figure with his own eyes through the window. Aaron, the owner of that gallery. The day after he sent his agent and combat troops to sneak in to steal the painting, this man had already arrived here. No. Never let others know. In the sky, Aaron is drawing a picture. In this painting, stands the majestic building in front of me. It's just that this kind of cold building really doesn't arouse any interest for Aaron. On the ground, quite a few vehicles were driven back to other streets by the armed forces of S.H.I.E.L.D. Natasha Romanoff. Is this the boy you were talking about? On the roof of S.H.I.E.L.D., a man with a bow and arrow has already aimed at Aaron in the sky. However, he did not act rashly, but was waiting for the order to be issued. Barton, don't move around, this person is not simple. Just now, Natasha Romanoff passed Pierce's order back via secret communication. Fury's order was not to act rashly, but at this moment, the sound of an armed helicopter came from the sky, and Natasha Romanoff's face suddenly turned pale, and then he found out. The armed forces on the ground surrounded Aaron with the weapons in their hands without exception. People above, come down from the airspace of S.H.I.E.L.D. immediately. Otherwise, we're going to shoot. Unfortunately, Aaron simply ignored this threat. Facing the densely packed guns aimed at him in front of him, Aaron's cold voice came over. Nick Fury, is this how you S.H.I.E.L.D. welcome guests? Natasha Romanoff was taken aback. She knew that this man, who possessed the foresight ability, could not have known that there was no shadow of the director in the base in front of her. So, someone in the bureau must have messed with this man. At this moment, a figure slowly walked out of the building. It was a blond old man with a very energetic expression. Mr. Aaron, Your Majesty Pierce, Director of the Security Department of S.H.I.E.L.D., your current behavior has been suspected of violating national security. I hope you can come down immediately and accept the investigation of S.H.I.E.L.D. Unfortunately, Aaron didn't say anything. A piece of white paper fell from the sky. The quick-sighted Barton immediately shot the paper with a bow and arrow, and then took it into his hand. Then, a picture slowly appeared on the white paper. This is you S.H.I.E.L.D., there seems to be an inner ghost. Pierce's expression changed instantly. The old face, which was originally rosy, suddenly became extremely pale at this moment. Even than Loon's malnourished face, it was a little whiter. Exposed. Pierce's face instantly became very ugly, and he saw what was drawn on the white paper in front of him at a glance. That's Hydra. And, it fell directly into the hands of Barton and Natasha Romanoff. These two were one of the few people from S.H.I.E.L.D. to the Celestial Dynasty who are loyal to Fury. If they know their identities, maybe Fury will investigate thoroughly based on this clue. Just at this time, Aaron walked down from the sky step by step. Pierce, Hydra is one of the most high-level officials hidden in S.H.I.E.L.D., tell me, am I right? Aaron's figure is very small, just between himself and Pierce. What do you want to do? It's nothing. Just, I want you to go to hell. Damn it. The bastard. The plan failed. There is no way. You can only kill this person in front of you. I can't believe that there are so many innocent people among those present. Even if you are a devil, you dare not kill innocent people in the eyes of so many people. Attention everyone. This person is a murderer in the secret investigation of S.H.I.E.L.D. Follow my orders, take him down. Receive. The voice here just fell, and the pouring bullets passed through the space and fired directly towards Aaron. But at this moment, Pierce was surprised to find out. The bullets of so many firearms are useless in the eyes of this person in front of him. Da 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 da. Da da da. The members of S.H.I.E.L.D. are all equipped with heavy firepower. If the firearms can't deal with it, then they will dispatch bigger weapons to attack. This person already knows his identity. If exposed, not only myself, but also Hydra hidden in S.H.I.E.L.D. will be dug out. It's not like Fury doesn't know about his temper. This kid must not be allowed to live. This bullet, mercilessly poured out in front of Aaron. It's a pity that these hot weapons are simply not close to Aaron. That's it. The corners of Aaron's mouth twitched into a smile. The firepower sprayed out by so many guns stopped before Aaron's eyes. Aaron didn't even lift his hand, and the bullets fell in front of him. What? Pierce was stunned for a moment. There is such a person. Isn't he just an ordinary super ability user? How could he bounce off so much firepower? Amidst the gunshots, Aaron slowly walked forward. The densely packed bullets fell to the ground, jingling. All the agents and soldiers who shot couldn't help swallowing at this moment. This person in front of me completely exceeded their imagination. HMPH. It's just a super ability user, and you are only one person. Speaking of this, Pierce immediately ordered his subordinates to arrange heavy firepower. Natasha Romanoff, is this the normal human you're talking about? Barton swallowed. This kind of ability, as a man, he also wants to have it. We can't offend this person. I have already contacted the director. If what he said is true, then the identity of Minister Pierce is worth investigating. Barton nodded, but looking at the scene below the building, his heart still hesitated for a moment. But, look at the way it is now, can he keep Minister Pierce alive? Natasha Romanoff shook her head and said nothing more. Pierce? Aaron stepped on the floor and walked over slowly. At this moment, Aaron didn't emit any terrifying energy. But in Pierce's eyes, this man is as terrifying as a devil. You. Don't come here. What's the matter? Aaron ignored his request and walked over slowly. Aren't you looking for me, and broke into my territory privately? Isn't that why you want me to meet you in person? Kaka. Pierce took out a pistol from his waist, faced Aaron and pulled the trigger hard. Boom. The bullets flew towards Aaron's body quickly. Pity. So much heavy firepower didn't play any role for Aaron, just a pistol. There is no way to break the defense. Quick. Fire. Fire. He's not a human. He's a devil who reaps lives. At this moment Pierce is still their minister, so these agents continued to shoot without hesitation. Pity. Still the same as before, it doesn't work. Although Aaron didn't release any frightening breath. But Pierce knew that this death god had come to him. Now I can no longer escape. A heavy pressure made me completely out of breath. At this very moment, Pierce was horrified to see. There was a faint blue color in the eyes of the man in front of him, like stars shining, mysterious, deep and frightening. This kind of color that should not appear in front of human eyes, unexpectedly appeared at this moment. You are not human, Pierce cried out in despair. It's a pity that this voice can no longer be transmitted. Yes, Aaron walked over slowly, and as he walked, Pierce became more desperate. Who are you? Pierce stepped back, looking at each other in horror. Death has already come before his eyes. Like a nightmare, without any warning. Me. I am Aaron. Aaron smiled, and then replied, but, the world is calling my name, Hades. Hades? Pluto Hades? Could it be that? Pierce's eyes retracted instantly. Pierce is a top cadre of S.H.I.E.L.D., right-hand man to S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury, and one of Hydra's top commanders in the United States. How could you not know the name Hades? Hades? Since its establishment, Hydra has collected relevant mythological materials from all over the world. Later, after some analysis, it was discovered that these so-called gods might just be people with powerful energy. Maybe their race is different from their own, but the power they possess can truly destroy a world. Could it be? Pierce looked at the man in front of him with blue pupils and a faint breath of death. I was shocked in my heart. Are you the god of the underworld in Olympus mythology, who is rumored to control human life, Lord Hades? Well, almost. Although his own birth is similar to the Pluto in the Greek mythology system in this world. But Hades himself is not the same person as Hades in this world. Based on his own understanding of this world, the planet god is no higher than level godfather. Who? The half-blind Odin barely reached the level of a half-universe god with the help of a part of Asgard's power. And I obviously don't belong to the power of these mythological systems. Convinced that Aaron had admitted his identity, Pierce finally understood. For myself, there is no hope. Death had already been doomed to come to him when he coveted the paintings in Aaron's gallery that could predict the future. Figured out? That, pew. At this moment, a bullet shot out from nowhere. It sounds like an anti-material sniper rifle, but the distance. I found it. On a tall building not far from the S.H.I.E.L.D. building, a cold voice suddenly appeared in front of the ambush snipers. Before the sniper could react, his eyes lost their color and died. I don't want to die. Unfortunately, Pierce didn't have any chance to say these words at all. Aaron didn't do it. After just exchanging glances with Pierce, the man who had served Hydra for many years, just went limp and fell down. And the moment Pierce fell, S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury's car flew over without haste. Appearing with black braised egg as one of his right-hand men, Phil Coulson agent. That is, the good old man who was forcibly ordered to retreat while investigating the Hand Association base not long ago. Mr. Aaron. Nick Fury glanced at Pierce on the ground, but didn't speak. But Phil Coulson, who was behind him, came over and tore off the clothes of Pierce's corpse, revealing a familiar symbol. Sure enough, it's from Hydra. I never thought it would be you. There was no anger in Fury's tone, but Aaron was not surprised. Mr. Aaron, this should be our first meeting. I am very lucky to meet you. I would like to introduce you formally. My lord, the current director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury. Aaron nodded. This person does not have a human aura, so he should not be from Earth. The matter here is over. For S.H.I.E.L.D., Aaron uncovered the big boss hidden in S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury was just thinking of further wooing Aaron, but unfortunately turned his head. Aaron's voice had long since disappeared. When did you leave? I don't know, I have no impression at all. Nick Fury stared at the distant figure in the sky. No, the figure didn't even see it. This person, you should focus on him, don't target him, or he may become the #1 enemy of our shield. Yes. Director. Fury nodded, then glanced at Pierce's body on the ground. As my old friend for many years, I never thought that Pierce would be a member of Hydra. And Aaron only killed Pierce, which means that the hidden Hydra in S.H.I.E.L.D. are almost like ants to Aaron. Hydra. Hydra. Phil Coulson, convey my order. From now on, thoroughly investigate the internal members of S.H.I.E.L.D. Once you find Hydra members, you will be killed. Yes, Director. The United States, New York, in a state-of-the-art technological building of the 21st century. A group of people in yellow protective suits were researching something in this building, and the whole building was filled with an unusual aura. And in another office in this building, a little dwarf sitting on the sofa is passing an important message through the video screen. Dr. Zola, Minister Pierce is dead, boom. On the opposite side of the screen, an even weirder thing appeared in the little dwarf's field of vision. Modok. How did you do it? That person's power is too weird. Pierce didn't even have time to make any resistance, and died in front of our people. Pierce, as a high-level cadre installed by Hydra in S.H.I.E.L.D., his death shows that Hydra's efforts for decades are likely to be destroyed. Whether it is the pioneering technology hidden in the market, or the secret Hydra military base hidden in the dark, there may be a risk of exposure. Does Nick Fury already know Pierce's identity? A female voice came over. The voice was very cold, without any emotion. Should know. Damn it. The electronic freak angrily cursed. This man will be included in Hydra's #1 assassination list.